best NASCAR paint schemes of the year, according to me. Just some guy. How's it going, y'all? My name is Eric. Welcome to a special episode of Out of the Groove. It's 2023. Today, I'm ranking my top 23 Cup Series paint schemes of the 2023 season. I wish I could say I have some special credential, but I'm no artist. I'm no graphic designer. I barely know how to light a green screen properly, and I'm not even good at that. Hopefully, some of your favorite paint schemes made my list, but if not, just remember, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. And my eyes are perfect. I saw my eye doctor last week. He said so. 20/20 vision, as long as I keep these things on. Just a couple rules to follow. Cup Series only, keeping things simple, and no throwback schemes. If I included, Darlington or the Kevin Harvick Forever schemes, they'd probably make up half my list. So we're keeping things modern. The 23 best NASCAR Cup Series paint schemes of 2023. According to me. Kicking things off with Joey Logano's Pennzoil Alternate. You know how like in other sports teams have like the home whites, the road grays, and then like an alternate color? They'll wear them on special, dollar hot dog nights or something like that. That's what this paint scheme is for Joey Logano. I love it. It has a retro feel, kind of reminds me of the old Steve Park DEI days. I'm partial to black and yellow, getting Killer Bee vibes from this one. The only reason this scheme is lower on my list than others is all that empty space above the rear wheels. Put anything there. Put another Pennzoil logo, put a Ford logo, put me there. I couldn't care less, but something needs to fill that space. It's too awkwardly blank. Still a good scheme though, 23rd. I've got AJ Allmendinger's Gain paint scheme from Bristol Dirt here in P22. Dirt race detergent sponsor. Who comes up with this stuff? Brilliant activation. I love the simplicity of this scheme. Big, bold colors. The yellow Colleague roof number actually matches the rest of the scheme, and you've got some bubbles on the side. Simple but well executed, and I love the theming. At 21, this may be a hot take, but I think this was the best McDonald's scheme we saw on track this season. I love the Grimace and Hamburglar crossovers at Homestead, but you can't go wrong with the classic golden arches. Bubba had a similar McDonald's scheme this year, but it had a bit more gray on it. I get they're trying to modernize the brand, trying to take some of the fun out of McDonald's if you ask me. When I grew up, we had massive play places in McDonald's. They had like video games. I think they had like GameCubes or N64s set up. Let's get back to that McDonald's, but as long as we have a sleek, modern take on the logo, I think this Tyler Reddick scheme executed it best. I can't tell if this is a mistake or not, but did they mean to dip this one French fry in ketchup? Just cracking the top 20 is actually a paint scheme we've seen before. Kevin Harvick's Gear Wrench colors. He's run a similar paint scheme the past couple of seasons, and I just love it. The orange, depending on how the light hits it, almost looks like copper or bronze. It shines up against the black primary. I love the way the orange and silver lines on the door there frame the Gear Wrench and Busch Beer logos. Just a really well structured, put together paint scheme. And one more scheme we've seen in recent years also made the cut once again. Ross Chastain's Advent Health, number 1. I love some of the details here, in particular the little watermelon, peeking out above the side skirt. Great colors. I love how they highlight the many different accents on the nose, like under the headlights. Just a great overall paint scheme from a Florida-based company for a Florida-based driver. Kevin Harvick had some winners this year. And again, I'm not including his, throwback 29 that he ran at North Wilkesboro or the 2014 championship throwback he ran at the end of this year at Homestead. Another Bristol Dirt scheme makes the cut. Again, I love the theming. I like that they incorporated the Kevin Harvick happy logo into, what are those things called? I think they're called Scrub Daddies. You know what I'm talking about. The little sponges that look like smiley faces. Am I crazy? Maybe that was a weird dream I had. Either way, I love the reference. You got some dirt on the back of the car. It's being clean, scrubbed off. I like it. This is a fun one. Again, points for theming. I appreciate a paint scheme that picks a theme and executes it flawlessly. I'm not sure how y'all will feel about this one, but I thought the Gamebridge paint schemes that both Corey LaJoie and Ty Dillon rocked this year looked pretty great. I like the blue and yellow. I like that it wraps all the way around the car. There's color on the bumper, the door, the nose, even the roof. The large Gamebridge logo fills the space nicely on the door, is framed well. Just a good all-around looking scheme, whether it was on the 7 or the 77. I'm putting this scheme in P17. At 16, I really love Tyler Reddick's Money Lion scheme this year. The bright blue-green gradient. It's not quite green. It's more like an aqua teal there towards the back. I remember a few years ago, Martin Truex Jr. ran a really simple auto owner scheme, but it was this similar kind of blue, almost aqua, just a really bright, pretty color. I just really like that color. The Truex car was one of my favorites a few years back. Oh, and speaking of old favorites, Sunny D. They tried to fix something that wasn't broken. But, I mean, to be fair, this still looks pretty good. Am I crazy? Riley Herbst made a few Cup starts this year, but none of his schemes popped quite like this one did. I love the rays of sunlight beaming across the hood. I just wish they kept going. Instead, they stop. If you look at the area right around that Ford sort of hood ornament, the design just sort of awkwardly cuts off. Maybe it wouldn't look any better, but I wish they could have found a way to keep the rays going, extend them down onto the nose, onto the bumper. Then I might be able to talk about this paint scheme the way I talk about, my favorite Sunny D scheme from the past few years. At 14, the Champ needs a scheme on here. I just wish he'd run this scheme a little more often. I had this one high on my list, I think last season as well. I just love the dark chrome red, bordered by the yellow on the matte black finish. Maybe it'd be nice to see a little more red or yellow bleed onto the front bumper, like down low close to the splitter. Might tie the whole thing together a bit more, but as it currently stands, this thing looks really sharp. One of my favorite paint schemes the past couple of seasons. At 13, I've got Kyle Larson's Valvoline paint scheme. I don't know what it is. I just love when a paint scheme angles inwards, towards the nose. I don't know what it is. It looks aerodynamic to me or something like that. I love that about this paint scheme. I also love the big logo on the side. I love an oversized logo on the next gen door. This one makes me hungry. You want a racing stripe on your car? How about we make it out of bacon? How about we double it? That's the Wendy's Baconator Chevrolet, driven by Noah Gragson at Chicago this past summer. Big, juicy burger, large Wendy's logo, the heat coming off the side of this thing. What's not to love? For a few months there in college, I lived off Baconators from Wendy's. I'm not proud of those days, but those were the days. And I used to wash down those Baconators from time to time with an ice cold Coca-Cola. Yeah, you see what I did there? I didn't actually drink Coke. I was more of a Dr. Pepper guy. But Coca-Cola has the most iconic logo, arguably, of any brand in the world. Here, they basically stamped that logo on a race car. Honestly, I appreciate the restraint. The details are nice and subtle, like the white highlights on the nose, the A post, the C post. And I do like that this year they made the door number chrome. It's giving a can of Diet Coke. Not sure if that was their intention or not, but that's what I'm getting from it. So 11th for the 11 car. We've made it to the top 10, which means it's time for an old favorite. I'm always going to be biased in favor of DeWalt-sponsored Cup cars. But I'll be honest, this year was kind of a step backwards. They muddied the waters a bit. I really liked Christopher Bell's more simple DeWalt schemes that he raced only a couple times this year. That's what I'm putting here at 10th place. But this year, DeWalt debuted all these different variations of the scheme that were all too busy or introduced new colors, and it's just too complicated. The simple black and yellow DeWalt works. I understand you get different products you're trying to promote, but adding concrete or electric batteries, or in the past they had the FlexVolt schemes that were hit or miss. I'm a purist, I guess, when it comes to DeWalt paint schemes. I prefer the basic black and yellow. This scheme right here is the closest we got to that this year, so it's still worthy of a spot inside of my top 10. At number 9, what's not to love about Michael McDowell's Loves paint scheme? I'm serious, please tell me one bad thing about this car. It's got bright, warm colors. The Loves and Hearts logos take full advantage of the extra door space. Heck, on the road courses, they even wrapped the windshield wiper to match. I love this car. Pun entirely intended. Remember what I said earlier about loving big, oversized logos on the sides of cars? Look no further than Justin Haley's Mountain Dew machine. Last time Mountain Dew was a primary sponsor in the NASCAR Cup Series was 2020 with Chase Elliott. I think this scheme is better than any of those, especially the Little Caesars crossover. Good looking paint scheme. I can even forgive the fact that the Colleague yellow roof number just does not work here. I don't have much to say about number 7 because this paint scheme just works. I love the gold reflective door numbers. I just love it. It looks like some of those yellow gold streaks on the side are like, blowing in the wind. This car's moving so fast. Well done. Man, we're getting into crunch time here. As cool as that Bubba Wallace, Mark Hamill Star Wars video was, I think Tyler Reddick's TIE Fighter scheme clears. Iconic sponsor. It just says Star Wars, big on the hood. Heck, the windshield wiper was painted red, looks like a lightsaber. Again, that may not have been intentional, but that's what I thought when I saw it. Everyone bought into the theme on this one, from Columbia to 2311 to the drivers themselves. Well done, well executed. Ooh, I don't know if I should use the word execute, especially for number 666 orders. Okay, moving on. At number 5, the Wonder Bread scheme. No, I don't think this is breaking the rules. Sure, it is kind of a throwback to a movie that's almost 20 years old, but the scheme it's throwing back to never actually raced on track in a real NASCAR Cup Series race. There have been some homages to it, but none have ever been done as perfectly as this one. Even if I ignore the fact that this is from an iconic movie, this is still a great paint scheme by itself. The red, yellow, blue flames on the side look great to me. Maybe y'all are going to put an asterisk next to this one. I'm not going to. I think the Talladega Nights tribute gets a top 5 finish. Now we're getting to the best of the best. RFK Racing had some great paint schemes this year, specifically with their primary sponsor, Fastenal. Fastenal ran blue schemes, white schemes. My personal favorite was kind of in the middle, this silver bullet Brad Keselowski raced at Martinsville in the spring. I got to see this design in person, and it just popped at the paperclip. Simple, modern, clean, shiny. Well done. At number 3, let's move from the spring Martinsville race to the fall Martinsville race. Tyler Reddick's had a ton of schemes on here. How about his Monster Energy Beast paint scheme? Specifically this one, which I think had a bit more color to it. I love the simplicity of the black and green Monster Energy cars, but they were able to take that iconic look to a new level with this one, in my opinion. I love the green accents, especially on the front. Going up over the roll cage, I suppose, that sold me on this one. Top 3 paint scheme this year. Shame, I think we only got to see it once. If Monster Energy insists on having 2 or sometimes 3 schemes in one NASCAR race, can one of them look kind of like this, just sort of as a variant? I'd appreciate that. At number 2, if y'all have watched my channel for any number of years, you knew this one was coming. Kevin Harvick's Sunny D scheme. Hey, I like the way this one looks on a Chevrolet, but something about the Ford, the Mustang, woo! And in this case, the yellow playoff banner actually adds to it. Again, I love the way this car looks when you're looking at it straight on. Those blue stripes just angled in just makes this car look mean. As mean as a bright, bubbly orange and light blue scheme could possibly look. This version of the Sunny D scheme has been in my top 5 or top 10, I think, every year since it debuted. But somebody did knock it off the top this year. That's right. But before we look at number 1, I want to throw out just a few honorable mentions real quick. Being from Texas, I love seeing Whataburger on Eric Almirola's Smithfield car. The Carvana scheme that Jimmy Johnson debuted at the Daytona 500 honestly looks really good. Big fan of William Byron's Valvoline colors. I just liked Larson's Valvoline version a tiny bit better. And Justin Haley's Tide Ride. I love the big bright colors, but I felt like I was being hypnotized anytime I tried to look at this car. Sent my head spinning. I love the orange spike on the side here of Corey LaJoie's Schluter System Chevy. Also want to shout out both Ross Chastain and Daniel Suarez's American flag jockey schemes. I like these cars. I do. And I've had this scheme in my top 10 before. I've always loved the simple, sleek look of the discount tire cars. Hopefully I didn't miss any other amazing schemes. I scoured the internet the past few days and trying to find every paint scheme I could from 2023. Hopefully no big ones fell through the cracks. I think now it's time to get to our number 1 though. My favorite paint scheme of 2023 was actually kind of a surprise to me. Most years there's 1 or 2 paint schemes that just jump out at me. Like in previous years, the Ally Nashville cars always look good to me. Last year, Suarez and Chastain had those GoPro sponsored schemes at Martinsville. The kinds of designs where the moment I see them, I know they're going to be high on my list at the end of the year. That really didn't happen this season. That's not to say this was a weak year for paint schemes by any means. I just mean that it was close. It was very close up here at the top. But the scheme I ultimately settled on was Bubba Wallace's Columbia Retro scheme he raced at North Wilkesboro Speedway. Oh, yeah. See, when I first saw the renders for this scheme, it did not look good to me. I thought, ooh, it looks flat. I don't know about those colors. It looks a little more Miami to me than North Carolina. But seeing this scheme in person, especially seeing it under the lights, suddenly I saw the vision. I understood. The colors looked fantastic, talking about theming, the 90s colorway with a track that for the longest time was left in the 90s, abandoned in the 90s. As I was putting my list together, I had this scheme around like 9th or 10th, but then, I started finding others and placing them, and I realized, no, I like this scheme more than that one. I like it more than that one. I like it more than that one. It just worked its way up to number one. I couldn't deny it any longer. Best scheme of 2023. That honor goes to Columbia with their retro 23 car colors. Let me know if you agree down in the comment section below. There's a quick look at my full list, my full 2023 paint scheme rankings. Whew. That was a fun one. Again, leave a comment down below if you agree, disagree with any of my picks. We may come out with a worst paint schemes of 2023 video in the not so distant future. Although honestly, while it may have been hard to find one or two that jumped out at me, there also weren't that many that jumped out to me as bad. So I don't think I'll be able to find 23 of them. Maybe I can find 8 or 10. We'll see. Stay tuned, I suppose. But that's going to do it for this video, y'all. Thank you so much for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed this episode. Hit that subscribe button if you're new. We typically talk all things NASCAR, news, rumors, predictions, and more. And a huge thank you to my Patreon supporters for continuing to support the show on into the off season. The holidays are almost here. 2024 will be here before you know it. Thanks for watching, folks. I'll catch you in the next episode.